Hello and welcome back to the StoneburnerBooks YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making a simple junk journal. I'm going to use this picture of the Northern Lights from a kid's kind of science encyclopedia from, I'm going to guess, the 70s as my jumping off point for the color scheme and all of that. So I'm going to take you through the process. It's very simple. We'll be using a binding stitch that I've used here on my channel before, and I have a full tutorial for it, but I just kind of want to take you through the process of making a junk journal. What I've done here is just gathered a few things together. This week I'm actually going to be running one of these workshops here locally, so I thought while I'm making my sample for that workshop I would show you all how to do the same thing. So I've got stuff like this, gridded paper. I've got some paper that I had torn for a different journal and never used, so I've got deckled edge paper. And then I took a bunch of scrapbook paper that I like using scrapbooking paper in some of my projects, but there are things where, so this was one of the pages where, you know, it's into 4 different blocks. It doesn't really work for the projects I typically do, but for this type of project, it's perfect. So I cut a bunch of 12 by 12 inch pieces of cardstock and scrapbooking paper into 6 inches by 12 inches. And I was trying to decide between two of these two designs. I think I want to use one of them as my cover. And I was thinking that this kind of blue and yellow brings in the same kind of color scheme there. This one does the same, but like in a little bit more of a subtle way. I think I'm going to put this one to the side. I don't think I'll use that one. So I'll use this one as my main cover. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in half because I have a sense of what I want this project to look like at the end, but with a junk journal like this, I'm just kind of creating as I go along. So I have my main inspiration picture, I have my cover, and then I have a couple pieces of blank, or not blank, but solid colors. I have a couple that are these more like U-shaped designs that I'm not sure how it will work in the book, but I thought they would be interesting. I have to decide if I want to stick with similar patterns or if I want to kind of mix it up. I'm a little bit leaning towards mixing it up because I think this is just a little bit too matchy-matchy. So I'll put that to the side, and I think I'll go with this. It brings in some of the similar colors, but it's just a totally different vibe. That's kind of the nice thing about junk journals, is that they can be totally different from page to page. So I think this one I'm actually going to fold so that when you open it, these designs are on the inside, so I can kind of stack it like that. Now I might put some more pages in between these two. This could be my middle spread, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a pamphlet. I don't really junk journal much, and I do sometimes find it intimidating to have an entire thick, you know, 1 or 2 inch thick book that you need to fill. So my goal with this type of book is that it's only going to be, you know, maybe 6 actual sheets of paper. So it's very manageable. You could journal in it for a month. You could journal in it for a season. So I don't want to put too many pages in there. Maybe I'll put a blank page in next. So let's go ahead and fold this one like that. Now I'm just building my basic pages, and from there I will go ahead and build up additional layers. That's where some of this is going to come in, as well as these other pieces of paper like this. Even though this is a little bit taller than what I want, I can also just add it in. I'll show you how. So I can either have this be, trim this to 6 inches and then just have it be a little bit shorter, or I could trim it to, you know, maybe 4 inches and have it just be kind of a tab. So we'll get into that, but I want to build my pages here first, kind of my my backbone, my structure of all of this. And so just like that. I think I want this. And I think one of the main things with junk journaling is to not overthink it. You can really get stuck in the nitty-gritty of it, but I think it's very helpful not to overthink and just to kind of get started and go for it. All right, I think even though that's only 4 pages of 4 different sheets, I think that's where I'm gonna just do those. I have a couple others. I have this yellow flowered. This is just kind of a gray, and this is a kind of a textured tan. But I think we will just leave these as our backbone. So when you open it up, you've got blank pages, and then a stripe and a color, more blank pages, and then our center fold. And so then it's kind of mimicked in the same design. So I definitely, in between these 2 blank pages, I want to put, I have this cream paper, but I also have a sheet of this music paper. So I'm thinking what I could do is cut this down, and I haven't decided. I'm going to try it first with leaving this edge on because I think it's kind of fun. So let's set this to the side, and I'm going to just try to line things up here on my mat to cut it down. So then 6 inches is right in the middle of this section. So I think I'm going to cut in between so that I get a nice, I'm not cutting up through the, oh, I forgot what these are called. I don't know if these have a, I don't want to cut through the group of lines. I'm sure there's a musical term for that. If you know it, put it in the comments below. And then let's see, because this one looks like it's a little bit, oh, and then so this is perfect. This was a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper. So what I'm going to do with one of these is, I like with my junk journals is just not folding it completely centered. So you can see one side is going to be longer than the other. I think that's totally fine, because when it comes to being in the book, you're going to see one like this, and then on the back part you'll have it be like that. So I think I'm going to do that, and maybe I will, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this other one or not. Let me set that to the side and see how these other pages go, because I could kind of double stack it. I'll show you what I mean. These are already folded, so I'm going to keep this as a, even fold, but I could stack this here and then put that over top of it just to add a little bit more dimension. I think I might do that. So let me trim this down too, and this I think I'll trim exactly to 6 inches so that it kind of creates a full color behind the music paper. All right, and junk journaling, I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think just doing it is the important thing. And once you get your basic structure, then you can always play around with it, add more layers and things like that. But this video is really going to be more about getting that basic structure together and then going from there. Okay, so these are my inside pages here. So got this built up like that, and then this is my cover here. And I think what I want to do now, so when you open it, you've got it like this. Now I could put, I've got some kind of plain papers, solid color papers here. I could put, something like that there, layer some stuff, but I think what I want to do right now is use one of these gridded pages and put that so it will open and be on the inside here. And I might even, in the process, tape it down to that. Let's see what I think. I could also, I know at some point for this, I do want it a ripped edge with this. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to go ahead and rip it now and make it kind of an approximate? Let me try that. So I'm going to use a general practice that I have, which is when I do a deckled edge, I use the ruler, the metal ruler flipped over flat, and then just kind of tear it. And since I want it like a little bit more loose, I'll try to kind of wiggle it back and forth to make more of that edge there. So you can see now I've got that ripped there. And then let me put it approximately on the 6-inch line here. I'm going to do this a little bit less than 6 inches just to make sure that I have plenty of room for these extra little pieces to be sticking up. I don't love having stuff coming out of the like, I don't want to have stuff poking out from the top and the bottom of the book. Some people like that look. It just personal preference, doesn't matter either way. And I mean, like I said, there's no wrong way to do this. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is just make sure I pull the edge off of the pages, because I don't want it to be, it's already so hard with the grid lines, and then I'm softening the edges. I don't want it to have a hard edge on this side too. And I don't think you can see it, but I am saving these other little pieces that I've taken off to the side, because I do like popping those in throughout the book just as additional layers. All right, this one is, let's see how that looks in reality. It's a little bit wavy, and again, because there's no wrong way to do this, I could, if I really didn't like this edge, I could just do it again and just make it a little bit shorter. But I think I'm going to stick with this and put that right in here. All right, so, and again, I could choose to just glue that down lightly. I think I'm not going to do that yet, because I may end up wanting to add more, maybe something here. I'm not sure. I want to give myself options. So we've got all of this, then we go into here. So because this is already has colors on both sides of it, I'm going to think about, maybe I put some lined paper in here, although I don't love the lined and the lined. Maybe I will cut, so some of these pages are still folded and some are just single sheets. I could go ahead and cut this down and wrap it around. So maybe that's what I'll do for this page. So again, just measuring things and cutting it to size. I'll cut it probably just a little under 6 inches. Let's just take a quick peek at the back. I'm not going to be cutting through anything, any images if I do that. And again, I'm going to save this to the side because I will use that somewhere else in this. And if I don't use it, I'll save it and take it to my class on Thursday, and somebody else will use it. Maybe they want to put something about the atom in their book. All right, now this one is a little bit too long, but what I can see is that when it's wrapped around, the edge of the image is not going to get cut off when I trim everything at the end. So I'm fine with that. I'm going to leave that here and we'll just trim everything at the very end. Okay, so I don't think we need a ton of different layers in between here because these pages are colorful. So now we go on to the next one, and I think what I'll do is add, I really like this apple tree image, so I'll do the same thing, add that in, and then maybe add a couple layers of the other types of papers in here, because then, are we already to the middle? Yep, okay, perfect. So let's put that to the side. And this one I want to make sure I've got good, let's see, 6 inches is right there, and it'll have, you know, some of this will get cut. I'll double check that before I sew everything up, just to make sure that it won't get cut, that this image edge won't get cut off when I trim the final pages. All right, let's see. Oh, it is going to get trimmed some. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead is I will, you know what, I think I'm going to just, instead of, I was thinking I would cut this down and glue it on, but I think what I'm going to do is actually just change the fold. So I'm going to just fold it around so that this entire image will stay within the edges when I trim the edges down at the end, and then this one little piece will get cut off. It does put a different, you know, puts this little binding, the holes and stuff in the book page, but I'm actually okay with that because again, it provides some texture, it provides some interest. Yeah, so we'll have it like that. And then I think maybe I'm gonna have it kind of like that, or maybe we're gonna put it like this because the other one had this on this side, so that way the back half has one of these. I think we'll do that. Although then, I think we'll leave it like this. So let's fold it here. And then I think I want a little bit of color in here. So I think what I'll do is grab another one of these pages and put it in underneath here. And that way we bring in a little bit of the cream color, not just the white. So let's set that to the side and this to the side. I love these books because it really is just kind of free-flowing, building it as you go. It's fun to kind of not know what you want going into it. Up until a few minutes ago, I thought I was going to use a completely different cover. So I like that, you know, I just kind of went with, oh, well, I like the colors for the Aurora Borealis. So here we are. Okay, so it has a totally different feel. All right, now we've got kind of a nice chunky little grouping of pages there. So I am just going to take a quick flip through this and see. And I feel like this is a really good basic structure for a junk journal. It provides a lot of interesting pages where you can add more, but a good background. The one thing I'm realizing is this needs something to break this up. I am fine with it being here and most of it being seen, but I don't really love just the same image all the way across. I want to break it up some. So let's look here. I mean, do we want to put the human digestive tract right in there? I think yes, but let's put something behind it so it's not so butterflies and then digestion. Let's grab a piece of the lined paper, and why don't we trim this and then maybe decal the edge on this, and that will help break things up a little bit too. And again, just making sure that I'm not cutting, you know, I'm kind of cutting it with a certain look in mind. Actually, I think, so I don't know if I want this thicker edge at the top and a skinny one at the bottom, or if I should trim this and then also trim this side too. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm actually going to go to the next one over and trim that. And then, did I cut this? No, I didn't cut it too short. Okay. And then this way I can trim off this edge here and it's a little bit more even top to bottom. Okay. Let me see how it looks without a decal edge, because I might want to keep it like that. Actually, I kind of like the squared edge there, and I can always rip it later if I want to. And then we'll put this here, and then I feel like that breaks it up enough. Okay, perfect. So now I need to get my structure all together and start to sew it. So I just want to make sure that all the pages are nestled in a V shape. You don't want them stacked on top of each other because we need to sew all the way through. And I'm realizing that this one in particular, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but there's obviously there are holes on the side because the stitching went through. The pages were all gathered like this, and then it's stitched through this way. But I'm realizing that this is not really solid there in the middle. So we're gonna grab some washi tape, and this is my quick and easy way to make it a little bit sturdier. If this were a true preservation situation, I have mulberry paper that I used and paste that I will use that's preservation quality. I have all of those things, but this is not that type of project. So I'm just going to grab a piece of washi tape and put it down there to just kind of help the paper just stay together and not rip when I am sewing it. And let's see, I think that's good. I don't think it really needs to go all the way top to bottom, and just for kicks, I'll do another piece on this side too. You could also get document repair tape to do this, but I've got washi tape right here at hand, and again, just adds another layer of color and design and pattern. So there we have it. Now that makes me want to check real quickly on, oh right, see this one, I was gonna say I wanted to make sure on this other one, this one we're not going to be sewing through that crease. We're going to be sewing through the actual page, so that should be fine. And then let's look at this one too. Okay, so this one definitely needs some help. So let me get this. Let's see, what other colors do I have, or do I want to use the same one? I think I'll use the big black and white one on this. Let me just, oh no, I don't want it to go into that. I'll use the blue one, okay. Or I can use black and white on this side and then use a thinner one on the other side so it doesn't cover up that image. Okay. All right, and then here, I wonder if I could, I'm gonna just use this really skinny red and black. And this has a cut edge from a previous project, so I'm gonna tear that off because I don't wanna have one cut edge and one torn edge. And I like the messiness of the torn edge for this type of project. Oh, and I made it a little bit too long. Let's do that. Oh, maybe not. Okay, perfect. All right. So that way this fold is reinforced a little bit before I sew through it and poke more holes in it. Okay, so I think this was all upside down. Let's just make sure. Okay, so one quick check before I start punching holes to make sure that all of the pages that have writing and images on it are in the correct placement. And I can see that one is not. This is upside down. Because that would drive me crazy if I sewed in a page that was upside down. All right, so now everything is the correct size up. This one, because it's not a full sheet, I am just gonna justify it down towards the bottom. It is tall enough that I can put, I'm gonna just poke 3 holes here. I really wanna actually do a chain stitch on this. Let me think about this. The chain stitch you do holes basically every 1/2 inch. And I think it'll look a lot cooler on this, but all right, we're doing chain stitch. So that's gonna be, let's see if I have a template here real quickly. All right, let's see how tall this one is. Oh, sorry for the wiggle. Okay. So I do have a template here for the chain stitch. As you can see, it's holes this one's a little bit over 1/4 inch, but I'm gonna go with it because this is what I have, and I like having it a little bit less of a stretched out stitch. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. If you want to learn how to do, the chain stitch as a full tutorial, I do have a full tutorial of that here on my channel, and I will link that down below. All right, so there may be a little bit of a camera wiggle as I'm pushing through on this. All I'm doing is putting holes through all of my pages so that I can get it ready to sew. When you're using your awl, you want to make sure that you go slowly and that your hands on the outside here are not anywhere near where your awl is going to be poking through, because they are really sharp and it's painful if you do that. I have been doing this for 15 years now, and I still every now and then, maybe like once a year, poke myself with an awl, and it's just a really good reminder of why you never put your hand too close to where the hole is, or where the awl is coming through. Okay, and then one more little one up here. And this chain stitch is actually a really good stitch to use for this type of book, especially if you're going to have pages that are not the same height, because with this one you're putting so many stitches in it, so it'll really hold those smaller pages in. And I was going to do a pamphlet stitch, which I'll also link in the description down below, but that one only has 3 holes, and so you would, if you have more pages like this one where they're shorter, it might not hold them in as tightly. So I think this is a better binding for if you have a bunch of different sizes of pages, heights of pages. So you'll notice I've left my awl in here, and that is one of my little tricks to kind of keep everything in order and together while I grab my needles and my thread. So what color thread do I want to use? I think I'm going to use this turquoise. Just a quick decision on that one, but I'll use the turquoise. And for this binding, you want to do 3 times the height of the book is how much thread you do. And I always do a little bit extra on top and bottom. And you can I use a straight needle on this. I guess you could use a curved needle, but there's no real reason to use a curved needle if you don't want to. And let's get this threaded. And of course. All right, there we go. All right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and speed you through this process. Like I said, there is a full tutorial, and I'll link that tutorial down in the description box. So this binding, again, it's called the chain stitch. It is a simple binding. It looks pretty fancy, which is one of the reasons I love it. But once you get a handle on how it goes, it's very simple to do. So I really encourage you, if you're looking for something to take your bookbinding like up just a little bit from a simple pamphlet stitch, I do encourage you to check out the chain stitch tutorial. you'll see it goes by pretty fast. I mean, this is definitely sped up, but it is a pretty simple binding. Now, here at the end, I left this part in because I didn't have quite enough thread, and there are a bunch of different techniques that I end up using to get that knot tied. All right, so my book is now bound. I'm going to use my Teflon folder here to just press it down. I will probably put this under weights to really press it down. What I use for weights, I don't use a book press. I use boards and bricks, and I find that that works really well. I think I'm going to press it for a little bit, and then what I would do after it gets pressed and everything's really flattened out, I will just take my blade and come back and cut these edges off of it. But I like to press things first so that they actually really lay where they're going to lay and are nice and flat before I trim anything up. But that's just kind of a quick look at making a basic junk journal with, you know, scrapbooking paper and just some kind of leftover book pages and things like that. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do this, please, you know, feel free to send me pictures or ask any questions you have down in the comments. Have a great day, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.